So for the past 23 years, I have spent an average of 2 hours every day reading. I've read approximately 1,600 books in that time. And according to Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hour rule, that would make me an expert in the act of reading, I guess. So today I wanted to share 3 kind of unconventional lessons that I've learned in that amount of time spent reading over this past 2.5 decades. The first lesson that I want to talk about is it's gonna suck and you'll probably hate it, at least at first. So the thing that I've learned about reading and how I love to compare it nowadays is to working out. And the deal is that everything in life that's worth doing, when you first start doing, you suck at it and it's really, really hard. And reading is no exception. One of the reasons why people don't read is because for some reason we buy into this false idea that like, oh, some people are just readers and other people aren't. And so when we sit down and we try to read for the first time, we're like, oh man, this is really hard and difficult and I can't stay focused and I keep getting distracted and all this stuff. And then we're like, well, I guess I'm not a reader, right? And that's literally as silly as me trying to work out and doing my first workout one day and coming back and being like, well, some people are just athletes, but I guess I'm not because that was painful and I didn't like it. So one of the most helpful things that you can do if you're starting to get into reading is just give yourself some grace and understand that it's going to be hard at first, but nothing that's worth doing is easy when you first start doing it. And so because of this, discipline is the key to becoming a reader. It's the key to gaining anything in life that's worthwhile, right? And for reading, that just means that you sit down and you read a little bit every single day, right? That's the best way that you can grow into this. You just sit down and read a page. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a ton. Just build that consistent habit. I love what Jocko Willink says. He has a catchphrase that's discipline equals freedom. And that is so true. It's true in every area of life. It's true in working out and working out your physical body. It's true in reading and working out your brain. The more consistently that you sit down and do it, the more you grow and the more the rewards grow as you're going through it. When you work out and you start, you basically get no rewards for doing a really hard workout, right? You go, you kill yourself at the gym and you come home the next day and you take your shirt off and you're like, oh, I don't look any different, right? When you first start reading, dude, you start and you're like, I don't know what I just read. I'm totally confused. I have no idea, right? But as you get better and as you grow, the rewards grow with you. So don't let the fact that it's hard at first keep you from getting started. Just start, choose a small amount and just commit to reading every day. Commit to doing just a little bit every day. And as you build on that, it gets easier and easier because your brain muscles get stronger and stronger and your ability to focus gets better and better, right? So that's the first lesson. It's going to suck and you're probably going to hate it, at least at first. The second thing I want to talk about is that the more you learn, the less you'll know, but the better off you'll be. If there's one thing that I can say from reading as much and as broadly as I have is that reading will humble you. The more that you learn, the more you will realize that the amount of stuff that you know compared to the amount of information that is out there is just the gap is insurmountable, right? And it will either make you depressed and you'll just like give up and be like, oh, whatever, or it will make you humble and you'll be like, okay, you know what? I just want to keep learning and I want to keep growing always. One of the hardest things for me to see is people who, once their school days are done, are just like, yeah, I'm done. Like, yeah, I haven't read a book since college. I haven't read a book since high school, right? And I'm like, dude, there's a whole world of knowledge out here. And like, yes, you can't know all of it, much less like 1/10 of it, but it's out here for the taking. And the more you learn, the more you can connect things together. And there's a phrase that a friend of mine told me a while back, and I don't know who originally coined this, but it's this idea that creativity is connecting the dots, right? And so the thing is, the more dots that you have, the more different ways you can connect them, so the more creative you can be. And as human beings, we're made in the image of God. We're made to be creators just like He created us. And so the more you give yourself of options of how to create things, the more fulfilled you are in life. So the more things you learn, the more things you spread your interest out into, the more you're able to make all these random connections across different things. And literally, the more satisfied your soul actually becomes because you're fulfilling this need that you have to create because you're made in the image of a creator. And so the one thing that I want to talk about this that a lot of people fail to do, or they either fail to do it or they do it way too early. And this is you need to engage with ideas and books from people who you disagree with. But the problem that most people have, so take like normal Christians, right? We're like, oh, I'm kind of questioning my faith. Like I want to learn some more about my faith and kind of shore up, my thinking and whatever. the biggest problem that we have is that generally when we first start, we immediately go to read the best of the complete opposite of what we believe, right? So we go and we pick up a Richard Dawkins book or whatever, right? You've never read any apologetics, anything. You've never read any argument from anyone who is on the Christian side of the debate to help shore up your thinking and help solidify why you believe what you believe. You just go immediately to the biggest, baddest boss level that you can over here, right? And what happens for most people is you just get wasted. Like you haven't trained at all. You haven't done anything to start to work through how to think through things, how to identify logical fallacies, how to do any of this stuff. You just go at it and then you just get absolutely slammed, right? The other thing that people will do, if they don't go at it too early, what they will do is they will never go at it. And they just avoid the boss level forever. And they're just like, no, I just only read people that agree with me. And I only read things that, already say what I think, right? That's stupid, right? You need to take the time to shore up your own thinking, but then you need to humble yourself and intentionally seek out, hey, I want to try to understand the people that disagree with me. And that doesn't mean I'm going to go and just listen to everybody or listen to all the stupid YouTube comments or stupid Facebook comments or whatever. Like, I want to go and I want to find someone who has intentionally put time and effort into communicating a view of the world that's different than mine. And I want to hear what they have to say. And I want to see if I can follow their arguments. And I want to see if any of their arguments make sense. And I want to see if I should change my mind on some of the things that I think, right? Really, it's just this idea that the more you know, the more confident you become in who you are, but the less confident and just dogmatic you become about, oh no, I know this thing because I knew this one thing that somebody taught me one time, So let reading humble you. As you read more, let it humble you as you learn, and then humble yourself and intentionally go out and seek more things because your life will only be better for it. Again, the more you learn, the less you'll know, but the better off you will be. That's lesson number 2. And the third lesson that I want to talk about kind of curtails right off of lesson number 2, and that is that unfortunately, you can find a book about anything. The pro of this is that you can find a book about literally anything. And the con of this is you can find a book about literally anything. So if you're someone like me who is just insatiably curious about everything in the entire world, your to be read list will just quickly grow to infinity, right? And you're just like, well, everything. I want to read a book about everything. I want to know it all. And so that can kind of come back and bite you in the butt sometimes, because the fact of the matter is you're going to have to be selective in what you read. Even when you read at a level or a speed, even like I do. I read 100, 150 books a year in general, right? Which is faster than most people. But even at that, I can't get through a tenth of all the books that I would be interested in reading. Again, this is similar to the last lesson where that can either make you super depressed and despondent and just like, oh, well, what's the even point? I'll never be able to read all these things. Or it can give you life and help give you focus and help you call out and decide, okay, this is what I want to learn. And then now I want to learn this. And now I want to go after this. And now I want to do this, right? And it can help focus your energies into something, again, that is creative and that is instructive and that is building up and that helps you create and put things out into the world that make the world a better place. And the other point that I want to make about this lesson is just the power of books. There's a guy named Cal Newport who wrote the book Deep Work and a couple of other things. And on one of his podcasts recently, he gave this answer that I just thought was brilliant, because somebody asked hey, why should I read the book by somebody? What's the difference between reading the book versus listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube video, or whatever? Why do books carry so much weight, and why are books such an important foundational thing for so many people, right? And I loved what Cal said, which he was just like, dude, for me to give you this answer in my podcast is basically no effort, right? I'm just kind of spitballing whatever comes to my head right now. But when I wrote this book, I put hours and hours and hours and hours and hours into putting all my best thoughts down on paper. And then I had an editor come in and they spent hours and hours and hours and hours refining those thoughts and reshaping those thoughts and making them the best that they can be. And then someone else came in and did another check on all of those thoughts to make sure that they were formatted correctly and all this stuff. And so what he talks about is that books have so much power because the amount of effort that goes into a really good book is exponentially more than anything else. And so this is why one of the pros that you can find a book on anything is that it literally means that you can find someone's best thoughts on anything that you want to learn, anything that you want to read, you have access to the absolute pinnacle of someone's thoughts and understanding and communication about that thing. And so even though I'm a huge proponent of YouTube, obviously I have a YouTube channel and I'm a huge proponent of podcasts and all this stuff, there is something special about a book, about the physical act of reading, about the work that goes into creating the book, and then the work that goes into consuming the book. It makes it have the potential to have an exponentially greater impact in your life than just watching a YouTube video or just listening to a podcast or just going and listening to somebody speak. So the fact that you can find a book about absolutely anything is unfortunate, but it's also absolutely just freaking wonderful. And it's one of my favorite things in the whole world about being a reader is that there is a book about absolutely everything. So there you have it. There's my 3 key lessons from spending 16,000 hours reading. Regardless of how long you've read, I want you to leave me a comment. Figure it up as best you can. Give me your number on how long you've read, and then give me some of your lessons. What are the top things that you've learned from the time that you've spent reading? Whether that's a ton or whether it's only a little bit, I would love to hear that. I would love to engage in the conversation with you down below. And yeah, subscribe if you haven't already. Hope you guys like this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.